It's time to embrace it. The Community Podcast, exploring the intricacies of personal growth, mental health, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Topics tailored for a global audience. Now, let's talk about it with your host, Bracy Goodwin.
Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another Embrace It Community podcast. I am your host, Bracy Goodwin, and I'm so glad that you are able to join me for what I know will be another powerful and meaningful conversation. And we got so much that I want to get into. But before I dive in, of course, I want to make recognition to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And then we're going to, like I just had on the beginning of the show, let's also, like I always do, I talk about my 988 being an advocate for suicide prevention. You know, this is incredibly important. If you know someone who is struggling with thoughts to self-harm or going through some mental crisis, please let them know that there is help available for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where they can get help in these times that they are dealing in the struggles that take place mentally everywhere. So please let somebody know. 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is the suicide and crisis hotline. You don't have to go through this alone. Like I always mention, you can call. It's in English and in Spanish. So save the number. Okay. Now, if you are finding value also in this, do me a favor, buy me a cup of coffee. Hey, this QR code here on the screen, just take a screenshot of that, or just take a look at it right now while you are coming in and taking a look and seeing what I'm talking about here. This QR code here, buy me a coffee. And what I mean by that, you scan the QR code, you're going and you're donating to the Embrace It Community podcast itself. So it's your choice on what you want to donate, $2, $5. It does prompt you at 24. You don't have to use that prompt, just use what you want to use and donate to this Embrace It Community podcast. If it's impacted your life, if it has helped anyone you know, if you shared it with somebody, let them know this is how you can help the Embrace It Community podcast. Okay, so take that down as well. Also, we have a prayer line. There is a 24-hour day prayer line that I have established just for you to call in and request prayer at any time. It is the Chaplain Prayer Line, 214-295-5628. That's 214-295-5628. That is where you can go ahead and make your prayer request. You can do it anonymously. You don't have to leave your name, or if you don't want to. Okay, so go ahead and use that, and let me know if there's anywhere or any place in your life where I can pray for you. So that's why I got this going up for you. Okay, but I want you all to help me keep the Embrace It Community podcast on the air and keep it going, because the only way that can be done is that you follow me. Now, you can follow me, and let's stay connected, and you can email me. That's one way you can do it, at the Embrace It Community Podcast at gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. YouTube is another area where I really, really, really need you all to follow me in and welcome yourselves into following, watching this anytime you want to. So Embrace It Community Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can dive in any of those areas there. So please share it with somebody you know. And that's what I've been really asking for. And I get on here and I promote it. I just really, really need you all to share my page here to get people to watch. And I think I got a chance to talk to a good friend of mine in Columbus, Ohio on this past week. And he really let me know how much he appreciates the podcast. And, he just expressed to me how he was at that point when we were talking about suicide prevention. He was just at that point, didn't know where to turn to. So I'm glad that he tuned in and really, really, really honed in on what God was really telling him to do in his life. And he turned some things around. And I was so excited to hear that. And he shared it with two of his friends as well, to follow the page as well. So I'm glad he was able to do that. And like I said, I don't need the 1,000. I'm not asking for that. It would be nice, yes. But if I could just touch one life with what this mission that I'm on, I'm okay. I'm good with that, touching that one life. I'm okay with helping someone, along the way. That's the whole mission here. The harvest, we talk about that all the time, about the people, the harvest, the community is full, but the laborers are just few people that want to reach out and help somebody. Yes, it's good to go to church. Yes, it's good to be a part of a Christian family. Yes, it is. But sometimes some people can't make it because of work. They can't make it because they're burnt out. It's not their thing for them right now. Church hurt, we talked about that earlier. Church hurt is real. I've been in that situation where I was church hurt, and it's not a good feeling. It really isn't a good feeling. And I heard a real powerful message this morning that just stuck with me. And the things that we go through in life, sometimes we can't tell everybody everything. And sometimes we don't want people to know what we're doing. So I always say move in silence. But I heard a word today and the topic was learn how to play dead. And it was so good. So we'll talk about that maybe one day following another show or something like that. But this segment here, I'm really focusing on breast cancer awareness. So if you're just joining in, thank you all for joining in and watching this topic here. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is the month of October, and it comes with an incredible, important awareness campaign. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is something that I really hope that people take serious now. It isn't just about wearing the pink or family. This is about saving lives, supporting survivors of it, and honoring those who we've lost as well. So let me share some facts, just a few facts on breast cancer awareness and my studies and research on it. And they might surprise you. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed. Men can also get breast cancer too. And that's about 1% of breast cancer cases, but it can happen. It definitely can happen. So I want you also to understand that when it's caught earlier, the 5-year survival rate is at 99%. So it's best to catch it early. You got to catch this thing early, so let's be mindful of getting our regular annual checkups. Men and women, get your checkups. And then if you don't take it serious enough, just make sure that someone you love or someone can really help you in this walk, in this journey if you're afraid. So the last statistics, that we talked about, this is why we're having this conversation, because this is real. This is real stuff. Early detection saves lives, periodly. They save lives. So here's what we can do. First, like we talked about, know your body, regular examine yourself, and it's not just recommended, but it's recommended that you do. All right. They really are essential for ladies and gentlemen too, but it's normal for you, and it's normal. So if you can detect it early, go ahead, get it early and get it checked out. And it may be nothing. So don't be embarrassed to touch your own body. You're trying to figure out what's going on if you feel a lump somewhere. All right. This is your health we're talking about here. So you want to make sure that you take this serious, because I do. And then second, you want to schedule those regular screenings. You want to make sure that you get your regular screenings up. And I know mammograms aren't comfortable. And I don't know, but this is what I've hear, from people that they're not, the mammograms are not comfortable at all. But what's more uncomfortable for you would be the late stages of the treatment that you might have to go through. So uh, go ahead and get that done. If you are 40 years old and older, all right, or if there's a family history of cancer in the family, talk to your doctor. Talk to someone early and get screened early in this as well. So get it done. Get it done. The best way to help yourself is to get your annual checkups, your annual physicals. Thirdly, support the fighters and the survivors in your life or in their lives. Support them as much as you possibly can. Sometimes this means if you know somebody, just driving them to an appointment if you want to do that. And then sometimes just sitting there in silence, listening to them as well as they speak, but just that's what we call supporting them. And words aren't enough, just that support, just be there with them. Sometimes it's bringing them dinner, without being asked, because they may not want to cook or they may not have the energy to do it and don't want to tell anybody or don't feel like eating, but you got to help them through this whole process. So stay there, show up for the family, show up, just show up for them, just help them do that. And then let's talk about the financial the reality about this, the financial part of it. Cancer treatments can be devastating to a family's finances. It is, and we don't want to talk about what's going on in Congress right now with trying to tamper with the coverage for United States citizens, but it's a lot. It's a lot. So if you are able to consider donating to organizations, please do. Okay. That can help with treatment costs for some people if you're able to do that. So donate if you can, help people out if you can. All right. Be the bridge for someone who needs it. That's the main thing. Be that bridge, be there for them and help them out if you can. All right. Remember, breast cancer doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your age and your race, or it doesn't care about your status in your culture and your economical, financial, whatever. It does not care. All right. So, but we care. We care about each other. And that's the power that we have if we can just care about one another. So remember, get your annual screenings done, ladies and men. Get the screenings done. And let's see if we can help fight this thing here. It's hard. It's really hard to really do this alone, but let's try our best. So comments, concerns, feel free to join in this evening. If you do have any comments or concerns pertaining to breast cancer awareness, if you need to know where to go, we got some information we'll put at the end to forward over to you to help you out finding locations to go to, because you may not know. So there is information that we'll put on the end of the show. All right. So any comments or concerns, I'm open for that tonight. Let's chat. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about breast cancer awareness and keep those who are dealing and have gone through it, keep them in your hearts and keep them in your mind. And remember, like I said, check on them and make sure that they are doing okay. All right. Like I said, it's important that we do get our own checkups as well. All right. So listen, we going into another topic, and I'm telling you, I got so many comments and response when I posted this on my page, and I came across it, and I just said, wow, this is going to be a good topic. So come on in. Let's sit down and talk about this. Should a husband defend his wife against insults from the family? All right. The unspoken contract in a marriage. This is that unspoken part that a lot of people don't have this conversation when they first go into marriage. And you would be surprised. The response and the comments that I got on this, oh, yes, you better. He better do it. And one person just asked me, just blame right out, why is that even a question? And I agree. I'm telling you, I agree. So I'm not the one that find it strange, but I wanted to talk about it in the community because everybody don't get it. They don't get it. They really don't understand how important it is to talk about today. So, should a husband defend his wife against insulting family members? And what happens when that defense doesn't go both ways? That's another part. So let me make this crystal clear. Let me make this crystal clear from the jump. When you say I do, you're creating a new primary unit. This is you and your spouse. Your spouse becomes your immediate family, point blank, right off it. So previous relationships become like extended families and everyone else. That's not important. So primary is the wife. So everybody else, including your parents, your siblings, and yes, even the children from previous marriages and relationships, they become the extended family. So now that's not harsh. This is the hierarchy, in this whole subject when it comes down to this. Let me just share something personal. Now, I've been in a relationship where children were disrespectful to me, and I had to try to understand where this was coming from. And it started from day one. It started with the son um, having a graduation in the state of Georgia. And I was in Texas at the time. And the mother wanted to go to the graduation and she asked me to drive. And the son was like, I don't want him there. I just want you and dad there. So I don't want him there. And I thought, I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me just introduce myself, and talk to this young man just to say hello, try to, just calm things down some. And I got on the phone with him and I said, hey son, how you doing? He said, first of all, I'm not your son. I was like, whoa. Oh, okay. So when when he did that, I knew from that point on there's going to be problems, there's going to be conflicts. And what I expected never happened. From that very first incident, it never happened. She never said or took a stand and, hey, this is my husband you're talking to, or this is my spouse, this is my boyfriend, nothing. And that stops now. That would have set things straight if that would have happened, but it never happened. So you want to know what that feels like? It feels like betrayal. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like I was betrayed. And what am I doing here? It feels like you're an outsider in your own home. You know what I mean? And so this is why I asked this question. So now here's what should happen when family members, whether it's your mother, your sister, your cousins, or your children, are disrespectful to your spouse. You have one job, and that's to defend your spouse. That's it. You defend it, period. You don't no questions after that. Full stop, no expectation, nothing. And the conversation might even stop. And you might even have to say, let's go. We're not staying here. You're not doing that. Um, so I've had it done to me, and I didn't know better to do it previous to this, with my mom being the way that she was. And I've had it happen where I should, no matter what my spouse said at that time, to her, I should not have allowed the disrespect. And she wasn't disrespectful. It was just that my mother didn't like her answer. And it got ugly. It got real ugly. And so I'm not allowed to really say what was said on here because, I don't want to be blocked from being on, social media, but it wasn't pretty. And so I didn't take the right thing. So now, knowing better, you do better, right? So a lot of people were saying, oh, let me just read some of the responses on here that people said. So question some people, one person said, duh, yeah, of course. Another person said, of course. And one person said to me, sir, why is this even a question? This should need not even be a question, but I said I want to talk about it on my podcast because everybody doesn't know. And maybe I guarantee you there's somebody's going to say, I didn't know, or somebody didn't really fully understand how this may affect your marriage somewhere down the line. Somebody doesn't get it. I've seen on some of these reality shows All right. Some of these reality shows where people from other cultures, um, if the mother disrespects the wife, that husband never says anything, doesn't check the mother or anything like that. So I've seen that happen on some of the reality shows. Okay, and another person here on the chat was saying, and the two shall become one. Say, so that's it. Yes, and then defending one spouse is a matter of respect and love. Yes, I agree. Yes, absolutely. Period. And these are, I'm just reading off some of the comments that came through. Yes, 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 absolutely, they should. Yes, and I agree. If my husband has to ask that question, I'm in trouble. That was one of my followers on here. That's what they said. If he has to ask that question, she's in trouble. And you got that right. Yeah, you need to have a conversation real quick and fast. Like everything pause and let's talk about this for a minute. So, and then I had another comment on here. It said if he wants to stay married, yes. So yeah, people are really, really, you know, letting you know what's supposed to be. Yes, no matter what, he gave her a promise, or a vow to love and protect, rather she's right or wrong, and never correct her in public, do it in private. And I totally concur with that. You see some crazy stuff going on out here, people just, getting into it with each other on I was on a flight coming back, and the wife began to yell and scream at the husband who was sitting next to me, and she was sitting in front of him. And she was saying the same thing. You don't defend me in front of your family. You've never done that. And I recorded the conversation too while I was sitting there having it. And I don't think I kept it though, but it was just getting louder and louder. And as soon as the plane land, and now we stopped and we're pulling up to the gate, we got the gate. Now she's on 20. She is really going in on this guy. And I'm looking at the guy sitting next to me, and I'm looking at her and hearing what she's saying. She's calling him all out his name and everything like that. And you don't love me. How could you love me and you won't stand up to your children don't like me? And he was saying, well, they don't like you because you don't talk to them right. That's what his response was. And I'm looking at this guy. And I had to, because they were making this publicly known. I said to the guy, I said, sir, I said, can I give you some advice? He said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, stop talking. Because you're losing right here. You're gonna be in so much trouble. So needless to say, all the way down to baggage claim, she is now on 25 and cussing in them out and everything like that. So husbands, you better get it right. Wives too. Y'all better get this thing right now. This ain't just about us. Like I said, y'all better get it right too. Another comment here says he better. All right, he's supposed to be my protector. Absolutely. AJ Perry. All right. Is this a trick question? Someone asked me. The husband should not let anyone disrespect or insult his wife. I totally agree with you. And that was by Jeff. All right. And then if you have to ask this question, it's a problem. Yes, he should defend his wife, and the wife should do the same. All right. And another one, absolutely. Because if you don't, I will, and we might not be together by the time I get done. So people feel exactly the same way. So it doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive or cut people off. Though sometimes it might be necessary, but it means, saying to mom, I won't tolerate you speaking about my wife that way. And that's me saying this. I've should have done that, being transparent. I should have done that, but I didn't do it. And my ex-wife, we sit and talk about that, laugh now, but back then it was quite serious, about some, and it was maturing. I just had to mature in some areas, man. I was just so immature, but yeah. And then you got the kids in the house. We speak to everyone with respect, especially my husband and wife. Yes. And then I say, I understand you're upset. Here's another way to handle this statement. If you're upset, but disrespecting my spouse is not acceptable. You say it that way. Our people, our people tend to go on 20 and start using those choice cuss words, and so they'll take all of this and throw it out the window. But we got to learn how to just handle it in two different ways. So you could be nice. You could be nice, and then you don't have to be nice if things ain't going right. So what's your comment on this? Now that we talking about this live, I'm just trying to see if anybody's commenting on this. If you do have a comment, throw it in the chat here and let me know, and I can address it again. But I'm just being real with this whole conversation. But we need to make sure that we respect them. Then first, if you have a conversation privately, it's not to be in a heated moment, okay? But when you're both calm, okay, I use I statements. But what I like to do when it gets in a heated discussion, you might want to call timeout for a minute, take a break, breathe, go get some ice cream or something like that, get out the house, get out the environment, and then come back. But you know, and then express. You can use the word I instead of using you all the time. When we talk about that, say, I feel unsupported when your family speaks to me that way and you don't intervene. Use I instead of you. Because when you start using you don't do, you never did, you da da da, don't want to use those. Okay. I need to know. I need to know. You can say this. I need to know you have my back. Use that term. I need to know this. I need to feel like an outsider, and I don't want to feel like an outsider in my own marriage. Okay. And you don't defend me. So these are different phrases that you can try using. If nothing changes after clear communication, then you might want to set your own boundaries, with their family. You do it. You set up the boundaries with their family. Limit your exposure to being disrespected by people, and then of course seek that couples counseling. Of course that will help. So but these are things that I just want to tap in this for a little bit tonight. And then like I said, evaluate whether this is a partnership that you can thrive in. You might want to evaluate all of that, about. And then you just have to just take a minute and just say, wait, where is this going? Where am I going? Is this working? Is it not working? Is it going to work? So let me know. Chat about it. Let me know what you think about it. Now, when it comes down to children and respect, now here's the one. This is the one. Like I said, if I went into everything that I went through with women and their children, y'all be like, whoa, bro, stay single. But no, I've gone through some things where things were stolen, disrespected, told that I don't want you at even my wedding. I've heard it all. So, and I just sat and looked at it. And then I realized that I was in the wrong relationship. And I packed my stuff and I got up out of there because there was no respect for me whatsoever. So, when it comes down to your children, when it comes to children and being disrespectful, especially in blended families, I like to call them banana splits. This is non-negotiable. There's no negotiating about this. Children learn what they're allowed to get away with. Okay, so that's what happens. That if they're allowed to get away with, they're going to continue to do it. They're going to push it and then see if they can get away with it. If a parent doesn't correct the disrespectful behavior towards their spouse, they're teaching the child that it's acceptable to be disrespectful to their partners. All right. Not only just your mother's partner, but to their partners, they can do the same thing. So this is not bad for this. This is not just bad for marriage, it's bad for parenting, period. You're raising children who won't respect authority. And this is the problem that we have today in this world. So it won't work. It's not going to work in relationships. And if no one understands boundaries, and then it's not going to work. So you make sure you want to establish those boundaries right away. All right. So if you're a step parent in the situation, things you can do, you can document the disrespect so you can come back and talk about them later. You can communicate clearly with your spouse about the expectations that you might have for them. All right. Disengage when necessary to protect your peace, and that's the hard part. Disengaging to protect your peace can be looked at as like, you doing something else. So you might just want to just step back and disengage from a minute and just give me a minute. I need a minute from this. I got to process all of this. Remember, you can't care more about their children's behavior than they do. So that's how we have to look at it. And I've learned from counseling that there's those certain ages where you can come in as a step parent and try to be the step parent, father, mother. There's an age there. And I do believe my counselor says that threshold line is like 13. All right, the age of 13, you still have that room there to try to get in there and be the step parent. But anything after 13, especially 16, 17, 18, it's not going to work. They're going to test you, try you, dare you, that you're going to get it all. And that's what happens. So, but here's the bottom line. I'm not going to stay in this long because it's about 30 minutes after the hour. And I just want to be on here for a few minutes to talk about this stuff. But the bottom line is this: marriage is supposed to be two people against the world. It's supposed to be you and your spouse, period. Not one person against their spouse's family while the other spouse's watches on the sidelines. Ooh-wee. That's another one. But I'm not going to go into details about it. But I've been down all these roads. I've been down them and I've watched the disrespect. But anyway, so if your spouse won't defend you, they're breaking the fundamental contract of marriage. Believe it. Period. It's nothing else, but they're breaking it. It's a wrap. And especially if you try to talk about it and they're not trying to hear you, forget about it. Don't even waste your time. As they say, forget about it. It's a wrap. All right. The marriage that you're supposed to have, it's a wrap. So the promise to forsake all others and cleave to each other, that's the part they're breaking. And they don't understand that. So that's what I say. A lot of people get up in front of people and witnesses and say those vows. They really don't even understand what they're saying. And I said, if I ever have the opportunity to marry a couple, we're going to stop and pause and talk about each one of these sections when it come down to repeating these vows. Are you really understanding what it means to forsake others and everyone to cleave to your each other? Leave and cleave. Do you really understand what that means? Because you're going to be tested. It's going to be tried. So it's something. Now, and family, let's just say this with love. I'm going to say this with love, and I'm going to leave this alone. If you're the one not defending your spouse, you need to check yourself. Really, really, really stop and check yourself. I don't care. You didn't like, check you first. Do self-examination self. Your partner chooses to build a life with you. This is the choice that they make. And they deserve your protection all the way. If you don't understand why she did it or why he did it, check yourself first. Have that conversation. Have that conversation. And a lot of times, like you said, it's not going to come clear to them unless you go to counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling. And you don't have to go to counseling when just because something is wrong. You can go to counseling when everything's going right. And you just want to check off some boxes just to make sure that we good. So you can just go to counseling. And so once you establish the momentum and going to counseling, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing so that you know when something goes wrong, you can really go to counseling. So that's important. Your loyalty, you, especially the man, your loyalty and your voice when they're under attack, that's the key of what is going to determine the rest of your life with your wife. All right. If you can't give them that, you're not ready to get married and you're not ready to be married. Another friend of mine said, everybody wants to get married, but they don't want to have a marriage. So that's why I say that. So closing thoughts. All right, let's get up out of here. Like I said, I wasn't gonna hold you long on this tonight, but I got some closing thoughts I want to share. Family. Um, Let me see. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm just checking my sound, making sure that you can all hear me because sometimes my system's been going in and out here and I didn't even know it. But so, family, listen to this. The real conversations we need to have. All right. We need to understand that respect matters and your spouse comes first. Okay. So let's remember that and fight for each other. Then, like I mentioned to you, breast cancer awareness, let's not forget that. Let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation with families. And remember, your life matters to us, okay? Your relationships, it's non-negotiable. I can't stress this enough. And I wish if you really want to know more about this and where I'm coming from with this, call me. In the chat and DM me or whatever, and I'll talk to you more about it. Because I think I've gotten calls, and I've answered some questions offline and off the air. So, and I'm serious about this thing. And the only reason why I'm so serious about it because I've been through it and I had to mature in it. So this is why I'm so adamant about this, man. I'm for real. I'm all in. So that they say 2 feet in, boots on the ground, whatever you want to say, I'm in. When I'm in, that's it. I'm in. So you deserve, wife, you deserve to be protected. Spouse, husband, you deserve to be protected. You deserve to be defended. You deserve a partner who chooses you every single day, especially when it's difficult, even when they don't like you. And when I don't like you, you don't like me, you still have to know what that love is. So remember, love conquers and covers everything. So that's why I say make sure you fully understand what this love and I do, and my boo-boo, and I cover you, and to death do us part, and sickness and in health, and for richer or for poorer, for richer or for poor. I got to keep emphasizing on that right there, because that's another story I have to talk about. But for richer or for poor, okay? You got to remember, all of these things matter when you say them. So if you're not going to live up to them, don't say them. Stop saying them. Don't even do it. Don't even waste the time. Don't waste the time, all right? So before we go, remember, if you're struggling with suicide, 988 is the number that you need to have, all right? Call that number. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. You matter to us. It's important that you fully understand that we love you, all right? So if you want to support the podcast, buymeacoffee.com as well is another way that you can reach out and support this task that I have here for the community. And I'm going to keep doing it till there's no more breath in my bodies. I'm not going to quit, because I know I'm impacting someone's life. All right. I know that for sure. And then, like I said, follow me on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and, Embrace the Community Podcast. You can email me as well. So here's what I always say. Until the next time, we're going to keep on embracing the truth. Set those boundaries. All right. All right. And never, never, never apologize for requiring respect. Remember, I love you because I love me first, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right. So until I see you again next time, stay healthy, stay strong, and all this stuff is going to be all right. All right. Take care. I'll see you the next time. All right. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Embrace It, the Community Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Follow the Community Podcast page on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Please like and share the podcast with your community circle.